Welcome to this hollow theater where humanity performs a grand comedy of false competence to hide the void within their own fragile minds. We use a single ink stroke to divide the comfortable lies of the world from the raw and often painful truth of existence. Do not seek comfort in these frames, instead prepare to witness the dismantling of everything you were taught to believe was sacred forever. Number 1 reveals the lethal glow of white phosphorus matches, where a simple light for a candle slowly rotted your entire jawbone. Workers in match factories inhaled toxic fumes until their facial bones literally glowed in the dark and slowly disintegrated into painful ink puddles. The price of a cheap light was the literal rotting of your face while you were still alive and working for your survival. We solved this by banning the poison, but we forget that our daily comfort was once paid for with human bone and blood. Your historical amnesia is the only thing keeping you sane while you use the safe tools that cost thousands of lives to perfect. We are slaves to the light. The match was a key that burned the maker's hand while lighting the master's expensive cigar. They sell you the safety of the modern home while hiding the glowing ghosts of the factory workers who died for your light. Shatter the illusion of progress. The glow was not divine, but a chemical curse that turned human faces into jagged and broken shadows. Stop pretending the past was simple. Every comfort you enjoy is built on a graveyard of forgotten horrors and rotted facial bones. The jaw stops rotting. From the chemical glow, we face the heavy metal trap of the kitchen where children vanished into the cold. Number 2 explores the heavy metal trap of old refrigerators, where a mechanical latch turned a simple game of hide-and-seek lethal. These machines were steel vaults that could only be opened from the outside, leaving countless children to suffocate in the silent white void. We eventually mandated magnetic seals, but the cost of that simple design change was a generation of parents living in constant mortal terror. We traded the mechanical lock for a magnetic one, making the world safer for the small explorers who just wanted to hide safely. The fridge was a monster with a metal heart. It promised freshness, but delivered a cold and silent death to the most innocent. You take the magnetic door for granted, but it is a silent monument to the children who never came out of the box. They sell you the convenience of fresh food while ignoring the heavy metal history of the boxes that became small and silent graveyards. Safety is a design choice. We choose to protect our children only after the death toll becomes too loud for the corporate conscience. You are a survivor of a dangerous era. The magnetic seal is the only reason your childhood games did not end in a vault. The cold vanishes. From the kitchen trap, we face the architectural death of the theater, where the doors refuse to let us out. Number 3 exposes the architectural death trap of inward opening doors, where a panicked crowd became its own worst and most lethal enemy. In a fire, people naturally push against the exit, but the doors were designed to pull, creating a human crush of pure desperation. Hundreds died in the Iroquois theater fire because they could not pull a door, while thousands of pounds of human weight pushed forward. The invention of the panic bar saved millions. We mandated that public doors must open outward to accommodate the logic of human fear. Every exit was a potential wall. We had to learn the hard way that a door should never stand in the way of life. You walk through doors every day without thinking, but each one is a solution to a massacre that we have already forgotten lately. They design the exits for safety now, but every crash bar you see is a silent monument to the crowds who died screaming. Shatter the architecture of death. The outward door is a simple miracle that allows the panicked soul to find the light of safety. True freedom is an exit that opens when you push. We trade the inward trap for the outward escape and call it progress. The panic fades. From the crushed exit, we face the invisible poison that we painted onto our walls and fueled into our cars. Number 4 reveals the invisible poison of leaded gasoline, where we fueled our cars with a neurotoxin that slowly destroyed our collective intelligence. We ignored the warnings for decades while a single man convinced the world that lead was safe despite the workers dying in agony. An entire generation grew up breathing lead dust, suffering from lowered intelligence and increased aggression because of a corporate and very profitable lie. We finally banned the poison in the 70s, but the heavy metal ghost still lingers in our soil and our collective neurological history. You breathe easier nowadays, but the lead is still there, hiding in the dust of old houses and the bones of your ancestors. They sell you the clean air of the world while hiding the toxic legacy that shaped the temper and the minds of ancestors. Modern science claims the air is pure, yet we know the heavy metal shadow remains a permanent part of our industrial human story. Give up the dream of purity because you cannot escape the leaded past in a world built on the fuel of a generation. Stop fearing the exhaust pipe Because the real danger is the legacy of aggression that was fueled into our blood by corporate greed. The lead vanishes. From the poison brain, we face the chemical spray that almost dissolved the very shield that protects our entire planet. Number 5 exposes the era of CFCs, where our hairspray and refrigerators were slowly eating a giant hole in the protective ozone layer. We were literally dissolving the only thing standing between us and the lethal radiation of the sun for the sake of hair. Without the ozone layer, the world would have become a sterile desert where life was impossible under the unfiltered and deadly solar fire. The Montreal Protocol was a rare moment of global sanity where we agreed to stop killing the sky before it was late. We saved the world with a single piece of paper, but we forget how close we came to a silent and radioactive end. They celebrate the closing hole while ignoring the new chemical threats that we are currently ignoring for the sake of modern comfort. Accept the shield. Your survival depends on a thin layer of gas that we almost destroyed for the convenience of a spray can. Reject the spray. The ozone is a miracle trying to breathe inside the chemical and clinical armor you forced upon your daily life. True safety is not found in chemicals, but in the clarity to accept the natural balance and the raw truth of existence. The sky heals. From the atmospheric crisis, we face the temporal chaos where every single village owned its own private local sun. Number 6 reveals the temporal chaos where every village owned its own sun until the Iron Horse demanded we all worship the clock. Every single town once set its own time based on the sun, which was fine for horses, but a nightmare for modern trains. Trains were literally crashing into each other because nobody could agree on what a single minute actually was in this disorganized local world. The railroad companies forced everyone to use standardized time zones. We traded the natural sun for a digital grid and called it progress. We get angry if our flight is delayed by 5 minutes, forgetting that we used to not even agree on the actual time. They sell you the efficiency of the schedule while hiding the stress that turns your heartbeat into a mechanical and very cold ticking. You are a prisoner of the clock. Your life is measured in seconds that belong to someone else who profits from your punctuality. Reject the clock. The minutes are just air trying to breathe inside the mechanical and clinical armor you forced upon your daily life. True time is not found in numbers, but in the clarity to accept the natural rhythm and the raw truth of your existence. The time war is lost. From the temporal failure, we face the chemical breakfast where every single bite was a potential and deadly poison. Number 7 exposes the chemical breakfast of chalk and copper sulfate before we decided that perhaps poison should not be a secret ingredient. Your morning milk was probably mixed with chalk to make it look whiter while your coffee was stretched with burnt bread and dirt. Those bright pickles got their color from copper sulfate. You were eating algae killer for breakfast because it looked pretty on the plate. Bread makers used sawdust and plaster to bulk up their loaves. We were literally eating the house while trying to survive the day. The hidden chemicals were the silent killers of the city. We traded nutrition for the profit of the merchant who poisoned our children. Upton Sinclair exposed the Chicago meat industry where rats became sausage. A national outrage finally erupted and changed the laws of the land. They sell you the safety of the label while hiding the synthetic soul of the food you consume for your daily survival tonight. Modern food is a trap of corn syrup and plastic. The poison has merely changed its name to sound more professional and clinical. Give up the dream of purity. You cannot eat without chemicals in a world built for the profit of the industrial food machine. The poison remains. From the chemical failure, we face the lethal metal crank that shattered the human skeletons of our own brave ancestors. Number 8 recalls the lethal hand crank that shattered human skeletons until the electric starter allowed us to travel without risking our bones. Starting a car was a high-stakes game against a heavy metal handle that could suddenly snap back and shatter your fragile forearm. If the engine backfired, the crank would spin backward with violent force. They called this injury the Ford fracture in the early days. People literally died from infections after their bones were crushed by a simple metal handle designed to bring the machine to life. The electric starter was a miracle of convenience that removed the physical threat of driving while turning us into very soft human beings. They sell you the luxury of a push-button start while hiding the brutal history of the men who broke for your mobility. You are a passenger in a world built on the pain of others. The button is a wall between you and the truth. Destroy the comfort of the machine. The metal is a lie designed to make you forget the strength required to survive the world. True freedom is knowing how to start the fire yourself. Walk through the shadows and find the strength that requires no mechanical buttons. The metal ghost vanishes. From the mechanical danger, we face the stinking streets of the past where the horses ruled every single city. Number 9 explores the stinking era when cities were drowning in horse manure until the automobile arrived to replace visible filth with smog. Every single horse produced 30 pounds of waste daily. New York was literally buried under millions of pounds of brown slush every day. Experts predicted that London would be buried under 9 feet of manure by 1950. The first urban planning conference failed in despair. We were drowning in visible pollution until the car was invented. We solved the smell, but we merely made the poison completely invisible. The crisis just disappeared. We traded the shovel for the exhaust pipe and called it progress while the sky slowly turned into gray. You breathe the invisible waste. The horse is gone, but the pollution remains a ghost that haunts our lungs in many modern cities. They sell you the electric future while hiding the mountain of batteries that will eventually bury your children in the same way forever. Perhaps the manure was more honest. You could see the filth you created instead of hiding it behind a clinical and metal engine. Stop lying to your environment. Your commute is a graveyard of fossil fuels and your own pride is buried inside the exhaust pipe. The smell fades. From the stinking streets, we face the bloody theater of surgery where speed was the only mercy for conscious patients. Number 10 reveals the bloody theater of surgery, where speed was the only mercy for conscious patients screaming under a rusty iron saw. Imagine being fully awake while a surgeon with questionable hygiene hacks at your limbs because anesthesia was still a distant and impossible dream. The best surgeons were merely the fastest ones. A good amputation took under 3 minutes because the patient was fully conscious and screaming. Then in 1846, everything changed. A simple bottle of ether allowed us to trade speed for precision and unfiltered human pain. Today we complain about waiting times, but at least we are not watching a man approach us with a saw in a theater. We forget the horror of the knife. We trade our historical memory for the convenience of modern medicine and the safety of unconsciousness. They sell you the comfort of the hospital bed while hiding the dark graveyard of those who survived the surgery, but not pain. You are not a master of the machine. You are just a passenger who has forgotten how to start the fire themselves lately. Reject the nightmare of the past. The ether bottle is a miracle designed to shield your mind while the world moves toward technology. The curtain is closing. From the theater of pain, we realize that every single comfort we enjoy is built on a forgotten grave. We have walked through 10 beautiful lies of modern life, realizing that we are all merely amateurs in this grand human theater today. Join this quiet revolution by liking, sharing, and subscribing. Leave your unique thoughts below to wake the world from this very profitable sleep. The curtain falls, but your life is starting. Stay curious, stay defiant, and never stop questioning every single beautiful and deadly lie.